Nerd dice.
I did it again. I let the gem signing certificate lapse. Anyway, welcome to the Stateless Codecast. This is episode number 105 in our series, Create a RubyGem Nerd Dice. And we are now like 4 days overdue for our annual gem maintenance and code signing certificate update. One thing to note this year is that I've gone and made a GitHub gist with the kind of full end-to-end procedures. I used to have this information in one of the commits on this, where I think this is it. Nope. This is it. So I had that and kind of referred back to it every year. And as you can see, clicking into like your commit history and doing that is not the most effective way to do that. So I created the gist. You can go from table of contents, and if you want to generate the signing certificate, you can do that, and you're good to go. And this might be helpful not just for this gem. If you've got a RubyGem and you perform maintenance procedures on it, you can kind of start from here, adapt it to yours, and kind of save a fork of the gist for yourself or to share for others. So that's what we've got here. In addition to the gem signing certificate, we've got to get back to my issue. I've been using mise for my Ruby version management, and so I don't think we've got a mise.toml in the gitignore, and especially for something like a RubyGem, you don't want to keep something like that in your version control. So in addition, we've got 2 Ruby versions in our GitHub Actions file that are end of life. So you can see here we've got 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.0 and 3.1 are end of life. Version 3.2 is becoming end of life pretty soon, and then version 4.0 is out. If you want to see that information, so Ruby's website has had a makeover. It's kind of tricky to get to this maintenance branches page where it talks about where kind of what the versions are and when the end of life dates are or were on these things. So you can see Ruby 3.2 is scheduled to become end of life the end of this month. I'm recording this in March 2026. We will keep it alive in our gem for probably the next year or so. And then we'll, as we're going to do in this episode, we'll release a new patch, a new minor version of the gem, deprecate the old minor version that has the unsupported rubies. But once I do that, I keep the branch around for it and support it if needed. Nothing really comes up that often, but if a security advisory or something like that came out, I want to give my users, if there are any kind of a year to adapt and upgrade to the latest supported version, or to a supported version once their version gets deprecated. Let's see here, and then there'll be kind of a bunch of sub steps here. And when I do this, I want to have that be its own commit where I get rid of the lower versions, because I want to cherry pick the rest of it into my 0.5.0 0.5.x stable branch, and then I'll wind up creating a 0.6 branch when we release 0.6 in this video. As noted, we'll deprecate version 0.5 with an end of life in March of 2027. And then you can see in the maintenance branches, we've got this. Go to the version 5 branch here. If you go to the change log, we've got this information, legacy branch, C master, thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle. So we want to take that and apply it to also the contributing and the security MD files there. So we'll kind of create a princesses in another castle version of that for our version 0.5 and 0.6 stable branches. In addition, we've always got a little bit of fun when RuboCop upgrades happen. So things become that were existing in the code retroactively become RuboCop violations as the RuboCop standards evolve, and just like real cops, they will, even though they're not constitutionally supposed to, they'll get you retroactively for stuff. So that's what we've got there. And then speaking of RuboCop and other dependencies, right now, a couple of years ago, there was a cop that came out that said you should have your development dependencies in the Gemfile instead of the gemspec. And we had created this gem for the first time in 2020, and I want to recheck whether I went the right direction in that or not. So I've got a full episode, or perhaps a couple episodes of work to do here. We will pull up the command line, and the first thing we'll start looking at is Ruby 4.0 and whether the gem runs with it. We are here. We can do ruby-v. We'll run just make sure we're on the master branch. We will check out our maintenance branch here. Now we're on the new branch. Okay. Gem not found. Okay. All right, so that worked. I had to use bundle exec to get that done. But let's see if things work on them. Okay, we've got a console warning here. Was loaded from the standard library, but will no longer be part of the default gems starting from Ruby 3.5. So we want to add that to our Gemfile or gemspec, or it's not going to work when we install Ruby or Ruby 4. So we'll exit here. Nothing code-wise has changed. Now we're going to install Ruby 4.0.1 using mise. So we've got our Ruby version here, 4.0.1. Install bundler. We've got our bundle installed now. That worked. Now I expect that this will fail. And so we will add that in to our Gemfile. Don't really care what version it is. All right, so things are working here. got our console done here, and we can see mise.toml is untracked. We're going to want to Control-Shift-C to copy this and then throw it into our gitignore. Now when we do git status, it shows as not being there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back a directory and see what happens. Okay, we're using 4 now. We'll bundle, if I can spell it correctly. Oh, not actually doing any of these things. Got a code window here, and let's see where things go in a newly bundled gem with Ruby 4. So we can see we've got just add dependency here noted, and if we go to the Gemfile, IRB, rake, minitest, RuboCop, so it looks like all of the development dependencies are going into the Gemfile when you do this new. So I'm going to make that change in this project. So what I'm going to do is take a look at our Gemfile, take a look at our gemspec, and all of these development dependencies are going to get moved out of here and added here. I'll perform those changes. All right, so I've got them all converted. You can see up in the corner here, I just did spec.add development dependency, did a Control-H, replaced that with gem, and then alphabetized them, decreased the indent. And while we're here, let's take a look at what we've got in terms of our dependencies and whether there are new versions of these gems available. There is for Coveralls Reborn, and I'll go through the list of these and update the values like I'm going to do here. And then when I'm done, I'll just kind of fast forward through that. You get the idea. So I've got things updated, a couple changes I made. So the RuboCop gems, which do introduce new cops on minor versions, instead of, if you can scroll back a little bit, I had these at kind of twiddle lock at 1.85 and whatever, and that would continue to increase higher versions of it as long as it stayed on major version 1. And so I pegged these now to patch versions so that in the event of during the year, if I'm not intending to upgrade RuboCop itself, I don't retroactively have those failures hit me and then break a GitHub Actions build. A couple other things to note: simple cov lcov had gone. You can see Coveralls had a release in 2025 for the first time in a while. Simple cov lcov released for the first time in like over 5 years last year with a new version. So good to see that still existing and getting updates, albeit infrequently. So now that we've got this going on, we also need to change our RuboCop YAML here because we enforce style gemspec. I think I can just delete this because the default enforced style is Gemfile, and we have it set to use the defaults unless they're specifically overridden. So we'll try this now. We'll do a bundle update. Just got a deprecation warning. Okay, where am I using mini test? Am I in the right directory? Yeah, I'm in my test gem directory here. So we can get rid of that. It was just to figure out what the defaults were. Try it again. Our bundle has been updated. We'll try RSpec is passing here. Now we'll see how far we've run afoul of our RuboCop overlords. 15 new offenses detected. One is autocorrectable. Dice set spec. Why are we going to? Yeah, that's right, RuboCop. We don't need that there. Good work. So now we're down to 14 offenses, and I'll take a quick look, read those, and summarize them back. So we're back, and out of the 14, 13 of these are the same item, RSpec, LeakyLocalVariable. The one that's different is naming predicate method. Predicate method name should end with a question mark. And you can see here it's got a kind of a bang at the end of it. Let's take a look at that method and see what's going on there. So that's in our convenience methods. And I've already got it taken here. So the reason why this has a bang method is because it raises an error if any of these things don't match up. So it's a true or error, not a true or false. So in this case, the RuboCop violation is a false positive. So what we're going to do to resolve that is, you can see here in our gist of our different steps, we've got a the ability to do a RuboCop enable and RuboCop, or disable and then enable. We'll see if that, probably going to get a violation about my documentation comment being different now. No, we're down to 13. So all we have left now is the leaky variable problem. So what we're going to do here, and this one is kind of weird because if you go into the RuboCop site and search for it, it isn't found. So it's in this version of RuboCop RSpec. You can see RSpec/LeakyLocalVariable, and it's not showing up here. So how do you find one of these if it's not showing up? So you go to the RuboCop RSpec, go to the home page, and this is where I am already, so spoiler alert, but you'll go to docs, modules here, pages, think here. Yeah, and that gets us to leaky local variable. So in this case, it looks like the recommendation, instead of using these, instead of declaring local variables, is to use a let block to do that. So that's what I'll work on here. We'll do one together, and then I'll do the other 12 and kind of off camera and come back here. So we'll start with the first one, and this is in refresh seed spec, line 15. Let's see if probably create a bunch of new RuboCop violations because of styling. Who knows? But we will rerun RuboCop. We still got 13 here. Add an empty line after the last let. Okay. So that was a styling error that came up. So now we're down to 12. You get the idea. If any of them are special or require different handling, I'll call those out. Otherwise, it's just iterating through the rest of these and fixing them. All right, so I think I've knocked all of these out, replacing the args equal local variable with let args. It was all in this same file, refresh seed spec, where it where the violations were. So we're going to, I imagine, I didn't spend time formatting here, so we might still have a bunch of these. 30 offenses, all auto-correctable. Let's make sure, oops. Sure we don't have anything left that's leaky, and we don't. So now I can just do RuboCop capital A, autocorrect here. Back to RuboCop, no offenses detected now. This is all expected information, so we are good with the RuboCop part of this, at least so far. We need to add Ruby 4.0 to our GitHub actions. So we'll add in 4.0 here. I don't think there are any other specific benchmark. Should be the latest one here. All right, and before we do stuff with the certificate, which would be our next step, I'm going to commit what we've got so far. You'll note that I didn't do anything yet with removing these old Ruby versions, and I haven't set the RuboCop version up to 3.2 yet or anything like that. We would just want to see whether what we've got so far is passing on all now 6 of the Ruby versions that we're supporting for 0.5 of this gem. So we'll take a quick look at the diff. That's all good. Remove that. Moved our stuff into the Gemfile. Added our disable and enable there. Removed the development dependency things from the gemspec. And then we've got a bunch of our let blocks here in this one test. And then we got rid of this useless put statement that was hiding for years and finally got caught by the cops. The jig is up. Dice D100 with 55 roll dot total. We see you. You're going to be spending hard time. All right, so we can add this. Write my commit message. All right, I've got my commit message. We will do that, make sure we don't have any unchanged values here. And we will push to the remote. Higher here. So we've got that. That'll kick off our GitHub actions build, we hope. It looks like it is. We'll see how that goes. And we've got a failure. Let's see what happened here. So it looks like the benchmark job failed. Okay, so similar to IRB, it looks like benchmark got moved out to a gem. throw this in our Gemfile. It will be the first alphabetical item here. Align our style. Now we'll run the Nerd Dice benchmark. And it completed. I kind of sounded like Celebrity Jeopardy Alex Trebek there. Amend our commit. Try again. Actually close my file. Force push that. What will our next failure be? Tune in to find out. And we're green. Let's take a look in here. Oh, we've got some deprecations. Looks like they're all related to checkout v4 coveralls app at master. I won't really be able to help that one, but I can. Let's take a look at checkout here. And it looks like we are now on version 6, so we'll just go here. We'll just do the whole string. I don't think we've got other things that are on v4s, but replace all, amend our commit again. Just did it. I can press the up key. Got that. We'll force push again. Make sure our action passes. While we're doing that, let's take a look at our maintenance checklist here. So we've got, we're here so far. So next thing we have on the docket will be the gem signing certificate. So just to kind of review here while this action is building, we'll be moving the old certificate into an archive directory, which is optional, generate the new certificate, untrust the old certificate, copy the new one into the gem directory, making sure that you do the public certificate and not the private key, trust the new certificate, and then we'll build a temporary version of the gem, test it with high security, and then we will delete that and uninstall, remove that temporary gem build, and then we'll be essentially ready to cherry pick into the other release branch there for 0.5. So we're going to, our build is green, so we'll get going on this process. So we'll go into clear. We will do a it's almost as if I've got this planned for this very video. Create the new certificate, move the old private key, move the old public cert. Let's make sure we're using a just in case anything's weird here. Now we'll do the build command. You would, if you're doing this for your project, replace it with a different publicly facing email address that you've got for your project. All right, so we'll take a look, make sure our permissions are right. Okay, so we've got 0600 on both of those, which is, you're probably okay doing 644 on your public cert. We'll do that just to be. That can be readable by others. It's a public certificate. It will be world readable once we publish our new gem. So our next step is to untrust the old certificate. So we'll go back to our nerd dice directory, untrust the old certificate. We will copy the public certificate. So we've modified that. It'll be in a human unreadable format here, but you can see it's probably been changed. Now I want to add our cert back in and make it trusted. And then we're going to build our gem. This will be a version 0.6 because we're coming off of master here. We've got our gem built, and now we'll try to install it with high security. Change the version here to 0.6. And we have succeeded, which is what we want. So we will now uninstall. It's because I made it 6.0. And then remove the temporary. Do not want to remove your gemspec. So we still have just the certificate modified as the change here. And I think we're good to add that. In fact, it's so little difference, I'll just add that as a line item and amend the commit that I've got here rather than having two of them. Sometimes it's just quicker to type it. All right, I've amended my message, including the top line here and adding the note about the expired certificate. Let me make sure I save my commit message before I remove the file. Make sure we build okay there. So our next task here, I believe, let me make sure we have everything that we are looking for. This is done. This part will be a separate release after we update the 0.5 branch. Deprecation will be a separate thing after we do the 0.5 branch. This we'll do on the branch after we cherry pick the changes, and then that one is done. So double check on our action, which Would have surprised me if it started failing based on a certificate update, but stranger things have happened. We'll hit clear here, so we'll git branch. We want to do git log. So we're going to want that commit message available to us. All right, so I've got that. Let's see if we can cherry pick this. All right, the cherry pick worked. Install. That all worked. Now we're going to make our princesses in another castle values here on the contributing and security files. So we've got the existing version of this for the changelog, and we'll just change the contributing, and we'll just kind of change the files and links here. So I've got these created. Let me make sure that contributing navigates to contributing. It does, and security navigates to security. We are good to go. All right, so that should be another commit here. Yeah, I think I can just amend it. Yeah, I'll make it separate. All right, so I've got my commit message here. We can status, we'll push to that branch. Make sure both of our commits on that branch show as verified. And they do. Check out the code on that branch. Make sure that contributing and security both work as expected. Surreptitiously just switch to master there. Make sure that this passes, because this will be the commit that we tag as the version here. So we're already on our version. We've cherry picked what we want to cherry pick. We've verified that our build passed. And then we're going to make sure that our, let's go to RubyGems here. So 0.5.2 is what we have here. Let's make sure our version.rb 0.5.3 is what we need this to be. We'll do that on the last commit that we did. Now we should redo a bundle install. All right, so back to our workflow. It passed. So we should now be able to build version 0.5.3 that we've got here. So clear gem build matches what we want here. We'll gem push it. Try that again. Enter my OTP code. So that succeeded. It's okay for me to leave this one-time password code on the screen. It'll long be expired by the time this video is published. Now we'll go over to rubygems.org, refresh, and you can see it is Friday the 13th, and we've got a new version. Signature validity period is no longer expired. Now we have to tag that release, or move it to our package directory and then tag it. That part's done. Now we'll tag that, change our push tags. Now we're going to create the release in GitHub. For our code, go to releases here. Look at our tags. Our tag is verified this time, unlike the previous one. So we'll go create release. Title will be the tag. And then I will add the release note information, which will be conveniently what I'll put in my changelog when we're back on master. We'll show how master works here. Our changelog has the added change fixed. So I'll add those in here. So we've got our release changes written there. I've copy and paste these into the changelog when we switch back to a non-maintenance branch. And then I'm going to set this as the latest release because as of now it is. Publish that release. And then, let's see here, build the gem, publish the release. We will increment the patch version. This can just be a one-liner. There we go. That's what we want. Push that to our remote branch. So the next step of this, we still have left to do what we were looking at in the issue related to bumping the version here to 0.6, marking 0.5 as deprecated, and releasing a version 0.6. This video is running a bit long, so I think we'll stop here, call version 0.5.3 one video, and then 0.6.0 will be the next one. If you want to catch that video, you want to hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching. Thanks for watching this stateless codecast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and spread the word. You can follow us on social media at statelesscode. Until next time, keep coding and don't aggress against peaceful people or vote for others to do so on your behalf. Hack the state.